All right, here we go. I guess I'm just going to go straight into it, start recording, and just get started. But it took me a lot of thinking and mental preparation to start on a project like this. But essentially, the premise of this project is I like to call it Project Time Capsule. Um, I'm all about documenting my life, and which is why I love videography because you can kind of document what it was like in that moment and relive that moment. But on another side of media, I've always respected people who can talk articulately and document their life and essentially sit with their thoughts and talk to a camera. So I started, and I'm starting with this video, something called Project Time Capsule, where essentially I just sit in front of a camera and talk about certain things that I have written down, and ideally get to a point where I don't have things written down and I can just yap and talk about certain things going on with my life. But I guess to get to some of the things I wanted to talk about, the first is I kind of wanted to, I know, whoever sees this video, whether it's my future self or, whoever ends up watching it, I guess this is the first log of the time capsule series. And as of now, it is Monday, September 16th at 4:10 p.m. And a couple things going on in my life right now. I just graduated college last May. Got done at my internship at NASA. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get taken on full time because of budget concerns and layoffs and whatnot. But right now, where I'm at in life, I guess I just started a new career, a new job um, at this new company, and I'm really enjoying it. But I'm in this weird period of my early 20s where I still feel like I can't even drink alcohol yet, but I'm starting to do adult like things like sign up for insurance and setting up high yield savings, Roth IRA, and whatnot. Um, so that's just a little snapshot of where I am in life right now, I guess. And I had a couple topics that I just wanted to talk about just for my future self or, whoever sees this. But I guess we covered where I'm at currently. And I guess what I want to gain out of this project is something I wanted to talk about. Um, Essentially, wanted to, I touched upon the time capsule aspect of it. I want to create a form of media where I can really force myself to slow down, to compartmentalize my thoughts, and really start thinking deeply because I want to be more introspective and, sit with my thoughts more because I feel like it's really hard to find opportunities to do that or take initiative to do that. So I wanted to create a time capsule of deep thinking and deep thoughts. And, I'm 23 years old, young 20s, just graduated college. So the whole 9 to 5 corporate life switch up in lifestyle has been a big adjustment for me. And I think there's a lot to talk about because in this big change period of my life, I feel like I keep thinking about my future goals. and if I'm doing things correctly or if I'm doing things according to my higher self or my future self. So there's a lot of goal setting that takes part in, this phase of my life right now. I recently went on a hike with my friends and I started this series. It's called Time Capsule, and I essentially record them and I tell them, hey, what are some goals that you want to accomplish in the next 5 years? And I would essentially record them and keep it so that, in 5 years, I'll have a form of media where I can show them, hey, this is what you wanted to accomplish. Are you there yet? And I thought it would be cool for them to be able to see themselves saying it and then reflect in that moment. And I also thought it was funny that I'll be able to, play some of those clips at their wedding or whatnot. But yeah, so there's a lot of goal setting and thinking about the future that's been taking place in this rapid change period of my life. And I kind of wrote down a couple goals, and I learned a lot of, strategic planning at work, and I've done activities to plan out my goals and sort them. But I mean, I wrote down a couple ones on paper here, and the first one is have a 6-figure job, have a girlfriend, have a great support system and friends and family. And in that goal, it includes, being in a place where I can give my best self to both my friends and family and my support system, and, having enough water to water all of my plants and making sure the plants that I do water are the ones that I value and want to keep around. And essentially, another one I wrote down was to be at peace with myself. And this project is kind of, the first step in trying to do that and log on my thoughts. Another one is pursue my creative goals. And, this is also part of that. And to document my life, all those 3 past ones, kind of doing here. And with social media, this might be a tangent, but with social media, it's so easy to compare and want to live someone else's life and to, compare your life with others. And there's obviously the cliche that comparison is the thief of joy. But one thing I feel like I have learned throughout my 23 years so far is that the hardest part to accomplishing your goals and doing what you want is getting started. And one of my goal setting activities I've written down here is to build a bigger personal brand and to document my life. And I've had that goal for a long time, but your mind constantly makes up reasons to avoid it or to not get started. And one thing, touching back on my first point, was the people who are most successful just got started. They kind of did it. And some people might say it's luck, but you have to put yourselves or yourself in a position to be lucky in the first place. And that's something that I'm trying to do, is to get started and to not think about what other people have to say, as cliche as it thinks, but to just do stuff for myself. But yeah, so goal setting and a period of change in my life. I had this conversation with a friend, and I essentially told them, when you get what you want in life, you always want the next best thing. For example, I get a job right out of college, something that is really, I'm in a great privileged position to get this job. I get a job in college. I'm making decent money. However, now that I've had this money, I want more money and I want to, get to the next position or to get to the next big thing. Just like when I bought this camera, I spent a really big investment on it. And after getting this camera, using it, I want the next best camera. And essentially, my friends said, why can't you just be grateful for where you're at? And I think that's a really great point, that to my future self, that you should be grateful for everything you have. But when she said that, I thought about it and I've reflected on it as well. I think that I need to be more grateful, but at the same time, assessing the person that I am, I've always wanted to get to the next big thing, move on to the next thing that is good for me and that will push me forward to the life that I want to live. So it becomes a balance of being grateful while being ambitious. I'm still trying to figure that out. I still don't know exactly what lifestyle I want to live, but I know I want to create a good lifestyle for me and my future family. But for the meantime, I catch myself. That's all to say. I catch myself achieving one goal, and as soon as I get it, I realize that there's more things to achieve and there's a greater level, like for the greater the known, the greater the scope of the unknown. Like the more you learn stuff, the more you learn that you don't know stuff. So, yeah, and, being somewhat ambitious in life, it drives me to kind of beat up on myself and try and be a perfectionist. But there was a quote that I had written down. I think it's, I kept this little journal. And every day I would write a quote in it. And I'd label it. And I had a section that said quotes to live by. And one of the quotes said, "I'll never be perfect, which means I can always be better." And essentially, this means that I know that I'm never going to be perfect. So there's no limit to what I can become. Because when you try and be perfect, you're essentially putting a limit on yourself. But if you know that you will never be perfect and you can always be better, that means that, you can essentially scale infinitely, as my friends would say. But, whatever that means. But essentially, it's my point is that there's no limit and you can always become better as long as you have that mindset. And I think it's important to, have that mindset when you're trying to reinvent yourself. And that's something that I'm trying to do with all this goal setting. And maybe, I did this goal gathering activity. Maybe I'll show some of you guys if you guys are interested in that. But, it's important to set goals and know that you won't be perfect and not to set a limit on yourself by thinking you're going to be perfect when you're trying to reinvent yourself. And in this rapid change period of my life, I'm just trying to become the highest version of myself for the people around me. And in doing that, I need to focus on the future and be able to think deeply, because I think that's where all the value comes from. And I think consistency is a big part of that. I saw something online that essentially the guy said, if you give people a goal in 3 months, 50% of those, maybe 50% of those people will be around. In 6 months, maybe 20% of people or less will be there. And by the end of the year, less than 5% or nearly nobody will be there. So the point is that if you're able to focus longer for a long period of time and be more consistent than others around you, then you'll beat the competition. You'll beat everyone. And especially with social media and the new generation coming up, it's a lot harder for them to focus because everyone is so dosed with dopamine every single day with social media that it'll be hard for them to focus for a long period of time. It's just food for thought for my future self, for you guys, whoever may be watching this. So consistency, stay focused. Perfection is a limit that you impose on yourself. Those are some of the key concepts that I've been thinking about. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. So I guess this wraps up part 1 of the Thinking Deeply and Time Capsule series, but I hope I can continue to read to become more articulate, to keep with videography to document my life, and essentially be introspective like I have, within this video. This serves as, kind of a safe space for me to talk about whatever I want to talk about, because rarely do I get to sit down with my own thoughts and kind of think about it. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is being at peace, like I mentioned earlier. And that's the last thing I'll talk about, but being at peace, becoming a good man with good morals and good principles and good constructs in my brain. And that's the goal, to do that for me and the people I love around me. So, how long has this been going? 19 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and upload this so I can watch it in the future. But going to keep at my goals. And I'll see you guys next time.